We will start first with apostrophes. Go ahead and pause your video and read this screenshot over. The reason that you use apostrophes is to show possession. In this case, love trumps hate. What was clearly not meant, but was portrayed with that apostrophe use is that the person loves trumps hate. Instead, they meant to say love trumps hate in terms of love is trumping hate. So as I mentioned, you use apostrophes to show possession. Morgan's dog, Jessica's cat. Anytime that I see an apostrophe, most of the time, it means that it will be showing possession. I do have some kind of nitty-gritty rules to go over with the possession use of the apostrophe. First of all, if a word ends with S and is singular, then you would include an apostrophe S at the end of the word. So in this case, Mars is a singular planet, you would include an apostrophe S at the end of it. If the noun is plural and ends with S, then you include simply an apostrophe at the end of it. There's no need for you to include the apostrophe S. In this case, we know that the diplomats is plural because of the word both, and so therefore we just add an apostrophe at the end. With joint possession, there are two rules to remember. First of all, to show joint possession, when two or more people own something together, then you use an apostrophe S with the last noun only. So Andrew and Jacob's factory was worn down. In this case, Andrew and Jacob own the factory together. To show individual possession, you make all of the nouns possessive. So in this case, John's and Mary's expectations of marriage couldn't have been more difficult. John and Mary have different expectations of marriage. You additionally use apostrophes with the plurals of numbers and letters. So here's a great example right here. The reason that you do that is so it doesn't look weird. So if I were to take the apostrophe out right here, that would be read as O's or Oz, depending. When I put it in, then I know, okay, they're talking about the letter O. A secondary use of apostrophes is that they mark omission. It means that you took something out, specifically with contractions and numbers. So it's a shame Frank couldn't go on the tour. In this case, the apostrophe represents the I being taken out of it is. The class of 08, we can assume that the apostrophe, depending on the context, means that 20 was omitted or 19 was omitted. Please remember this. I see this error quite a bit in tech writing for some reason. When you use IT apostrophe S, it does not mean possession. It only means it's a contraction. So in terms of the rule, rules, the contraction rule beats out the possession rule in this case. So the dog licked its foot. In this situation, the proper use of saying it would be this. The only time I see IT apostrophe S will mean it is. Additionally, please don't use apostrophes for plurals and nouns that are not possessive. So in this case, open Sundays, it's not accurate. There's no possession going on there. Moving on to hyphens. Hyphens are a lot more complicated than apostrophes. I'll let you go ahead and pause your video right here to kind of know why we would want to use hyphens. I want you to particularly pay attention to this picture right here. The main function of using hyphens is to show that a pair of words should be acting as a unit, and this will become clearer as we work on examples. The golden rule of using hyphens is that you hyphenate two or more words used together as an adjective before a noun. For example, he lived in an off-campus apartment. In this situation, off and campus are working together to modify the word apartment. If you said his apartment was off campus, you would not need a hyphen because the noun does not follow it. Do not hyphenate when the first word ends with ly or as an adverb. So highly developed country, your spidey senses are going to be telling you to include a hyphen right here because highly and developed are working together to modify country. However, because the first word ends in ly, you do not want to use a hyphen there. There are certain words that are hyphenated in the dictionary, such as accident-prone and sister-in-law. The main rule for that is there is no rule. It's if you suspect that a word might have a hyphen in it, then go ahead and Google and see if it does. You won't be quizzed on this information because obviously you're not going to have a dictionary in front of you as you're taking your quiz, but know that certain words are hyphenated automatically in the dictionary. A number of numbers are hyphenated, so you'll want to hyphenate fractions. He drank 2/3 of his water would be an example of that. You hyphenate two-word numbers when they are spelled out, so 21 years old, 21 is spelled out, so you should have a hyphen between both of those. And you hyphenate with a unit modifier made up of a number followed by a unit of measurement, 5-year grant, 10-month period. You use hyphens with certain prefixes and certain suffixes. It really depends. That's another one of those weird rules where you have to look it up. But the main rule I have for you is you always use hyphens with the prefix all, ex, and self. All encompassing, ex-boyfriend, self-care, all of those will have the hyphen in between them. And last but not least, this one's kind of hard for me to describe, so I'm just going to read it out loud. In a series of hyphenated words having a common base, use suspended hyphens. So suspended hyphens look like this. They're kind of floating hyphens, not attached to anything else, but modifying something at the end. A 2 or 3 year study, 2 is modifying study, 2 is modifying your study, and 3 is modifying your study. And you can see that it works both at the beginning of the following word and at the end. That is all that I have for you for the grammar lecture of today's class. Please, when you're done with this, take your quiz.